The 2016 Hyundai Veloster Turbo, a hot hatch that has really aggressive looks outside as well as inside, but is it a really good hot hatch? Welcome to the latest episode of CarBuzz Unboxing Reviews. My name is Jay, and I came down to Sacramento Hyundai in order to get a better look at the Hyundai Veloster Turbo, a hot hatch that I know has a loyal following, but I was more curious to, find out, is it capable of competing with the best in the segment, such as the Volkswagen Golf GTI, the Ford Focus ST. I think you get the idea. So from the moment you look at this thing, it just looks really good. I have to give Hyundai a lot of credit. Their design on this car is really, really cool. That exterior, I'm going to talk more about that in a couple of moments. It's really good looking, as is this interior. I love this black with the orange trim. It looks good. And I'll get to more interior details shortly as well, but you got to remember, what is the Hyundai Veloster? It's essentially a 3-door hatchback. What's interesting about it is that it has 2 doors and then 1 door on the side. And that 3rd door is on the passenger side, so you can't even see it from this angle. And the Veloster itself, the base one, came out in 2011, and the following year is when the Turbo came out. And there were a lot of high hopes about the Turbo in the sense that, is it going to be Hyundai's, real hot hatch? Is it going to be capable of taking on the best in the market? Well, close, but not quite. And I'm going to go into more details why, as the Veloster Turbo falls short, despite it looking really, really good, and more importantly, that there is hope in the future for Hyundai, and there's some really good news that I can't wait to tell you about. And as I was mentioning, this exterior looks killer. They call this vitamin C paint. It's orange metallic, but it looks great. And you have these LED taillights. I like those 2 large exhaust chutes right there. I love it how it's, the angles and everything is those concave bits right around the taillights. And you can really tell that Hyundai design put a lot of effort into this. I think that black panoramic sunroof, you'll see that open up as well shortly. It looks really good with this vitamin C orange metallic paint. These 18-inch razor blade wheels, I think they look really good. And when you compare the design of the Veloster Turbo to that of the Volkswagen GTI, you're going to see that Volkswagen, it embraces simplicity with its very famous hot hatch, inside and out. But Hyundai took a very different direction. So under the hood, this is a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, produces 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. It's paired in this car to a 6-speed manual. Now, you can also get a new 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. It is optional here, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a very good dual-clutch on par with the German automakers. Get the 6-speed manual. It's a lot more fun. It makes this car just better to drive. And this interior here, as I mentioned, it's with that orange trim. These are black leather seats. They're heated seats as well. And you even have driver's side lumbar support. And the interior quality, it could be better. It's not bad, but I've compared other Hyundais recently, such as the new Santa Fe, and because that's a newer car than this Veloster, Hyundai has really improved overall materials inside. And I think whenever there's going to be next generation Veloster, I really hope there is going to be one, because Hyundai has some interesting plans coming up that the materials inside will be better. But I do like the addition of the orange trim. You have that orange stitching there. And it comes with some nice features inside. You got a 450 watt 8-speaker sound system, Hyundai's BlueLink connected care system. So it's really well equipped. But this is what I want to talk to you more about right here. This rear seat and that kind of that weird door, that third door. It's good that it has a rear seat, but as you can see, it's not especially roomy, and because the way the rear of the roof angles down, there's not a lot of headroom as well. So it's good that there's a rear seat there. Those rear seats, they do fold flat, so it increases cargo space when you open up the rear hatch. But generally speaking, the door is, well, it's kind of for show, and it gives it kind of a quirky look. And the interior, generally speaking, is very nicely laid out. You have a 7-inch touchscreen system there, has navigation. And the overall seating position itself isn't bad. But let's hear this engine here, and I'm going to tell you my concerns with it in just a moment. Okay, that engine, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 6.7 seconds, about a top speed of around 130 miles per hour. Fuel economy, 25 miles per gallon in the city, 33 on the highway, and a combined 28. Those are all respectable numbers, but the engine itself, that 1.6 liter, it's the same 1.6 liter in the base Veloster. Hyundai just added the turbo. It's okay, but by today's standards, with the competition, it's not good enough anymore. Another thing you need to know about the Veloster, it's based on the same platform as the previous generation Elantra sedan. So that means that this car's bones are old, and you feel it in the way it drives. I've driven in the Golf GTI. I encourage you to check out my unboxing review of that as well. And there is a real difference. So the 7-inch touchscreen here, it's a nice system. I think Hyundai has done a nice job with the general layout. It's not at all hard to figure out. You have the climate control system all through there. And this car is also equipped with Hyundai's tech package for an extra $2,700. You get things like rear parking sensors, automatic temperature control with an auto defogging system, automatic headlights, and of course a panoramic sunroof, which I've been known to be a pretty big fan of. For an extra $325, you also get this kind of the sports shifter there, and I really like the feel of it. I think it's worth the extra $300 added to the price. So how does the Veloster Turbo drive? Well, Hyundai claims it has a sport-tuned suspension. Well, kind of. It doesn't feel like the way I think it should for a proper hot hatch. A few things bothered me. For starters, the steering didn't provide enough feedback. It does have nice grip on corners because the Veloster has a wide stance and a pretty decent overall weight of around 3,000 pounds, and the combination of both those factors eliminates a lot of body roll. But the other area that I don't like here is that the Veloster Turbo, it's not very communicative for the driver, and the overall driving experience suffers as a result of that. Just off the top of my head, along with the Golf GTI, you have cars like the Subaru BRZ Toyota 86 Twins and the Honda Civic SI, as well as the Ford Focus ST and the Fiesta ST. All of them offer better driving experiences because their suspensions are better. And there's that panoramic sunroof. It's nice, but it just adds weight to the car. It doesn't do anything to help with structural rigidity. In fact, it even hurts it a little bit. In terms of general safety, I mean, you get, your ABS brakes, airbags, electronic stability control, a traction control, tire pressure monitoring system, and the Veloster did get a 5-star crash test rating from the US government. So generally speaking, what I really do like about the Veloster Turbo is that you get a nice amount of features for the money. It's fairly fuel efficient, and I really do dig that exterior styling. I know that third door, it may not be for everybody, and it's kind of big, especially when you open it up. You can get, if somebody's kind of short, they can almost smack their faces with it. It's that like long, but it gives the Veloster something like an added value compared to the other hot hatches on the market. Now, what I don't like is it doesn't drive as the way it looks. It has these aggressive looks inside and out, but it doesn't drive like a really good hot hatch, or at least by today's hot hatch standards. The ride, it is kind of harsh and it's noisy. The rear seats, obviously, they're kind of hard to access because, well, there's only one door. And as I mentioned, rear headroom is not so good. And it's just, bottom line, not quite as practical as a 4-door hatchback. Another thing that I was a little surprised to see is that it doesn't have power seats. Again, that's kind of something you're getting more in hatchbacks today. It's not here. So what's the competition? As I mentioned, you have the VW Golf GTI, Ford Focus ST, and the Ford Fiesta ST. But just to compare, this car's horsepower rating, 201 ponies. The VW GTI has 220 horsepower. The Focus ST has 250 horsepower. And then the Ford Fiesta ST, 197 horsepower, and it's about the same price as this vehicle. So speaking of pricing, what does it cost? Well, a base Veloster Turbo, it begins at $21,600 for the R-Spec trim. This Veloster Turbo begins at $22,600, but once you add in that technology pack that I mentioned for an extra $2,700, along with destination handling, the total comes to just under $27,000. The most expensive Veloster Turbo is the Rally Edition, which bases at almost $24,000. It comes with this really cool matte blue paint. I dig it. But again, the competition out there is so good. For a car that dates back to literally 2012, the Veloster Turbo is just, it's out of date. And I really wanted this car to drive better, but again, it's old. It looks great. It's a fun car to have. It gets a lot of stares, but it's lacking in the driving department. But fortunately, there's some really good news on the horizon, and it's called Hyundai's N Performance Division. So it was first founded back in 2012, but just a couple of years ago, Hyundai poached a very good BMW engineer from their BMW's N Performance division. His name is Albert Biermann, and he was with BMW for over 30 years. In fact, one of his first projects with BMW was tuning the iconic E30 M3, which is also known as God's Chariot. So he has brought over 30 years of BMW N Performance division experience to Hyundai to develop their N Performance division even more. So what does that mean for Hyundai performance cars? For starters, they are introducing the European-only i30 hatchback with an N Performance pack in the very near future. That car will not be coming to the US, but Hyundai has assured us that N Performance cars are on their way to the US in the next few years. What I would like to see is the next generation Veloster Turbo be given the full Hyundai N Performance treatment, and with having that former BMW engineer at the helm of that division, there's so many possibilities for Hyundai and the next generation Veloster as well. And given Hyundai's really consistent record and just pushing the design envelope even further and further, the potential for a new Veloster Turbo is just, it's just going to be a really fun thing to see happen. And I hope Hyundai puts in a lot of effort. But generally speaking, this is the current Veloster Turbo, a good value. It's a fun car to drive. There are just better alternatives, but I doubt you'll be really disappointed with this. You might only be disappointed if your previous car was a VW GTI. So everybody, I'm out of time for today. Thanks for watching. Any more questions for me, leave them in the comments section below. Any suggestions for future unboxing reviews you'd like me to do, also leave those suggestions in the comments. And you can check out the full review of the 2016 Hyundai Veloster Turbo on carbuzz.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the CarBuzz Unboxing Review channel. We have some really cool stuff coming up in the near future. So I'll see you all next time.